Oh, where did John go? We're live. Jonathan, did you drop off? Okay. Welcome, everyone. Here is our September 2025 AMA and updates. We do have a lot of topics to cover. We'll be talking about some of our latest ecosystem announcements on the fancy side. We'll be, of course, chatting with Jean about the recent bridge launch and what will be coming next. And then we do have Jonathan here to be talking about our latest centralized exchange and wallet integrations, along with just a few of the partnerships that we've had coming up. But for some opening words, I'll go ahead and dish it off to Lucian to share what's been happening on the foundation side.
And welcome to our just because of Washington, but the summer holidays were used in a productive manner here, and also different.
Hey, Lucian, you're getting cut out.
Lucian, yeah.
First and foremost.
Yeah, he's getting cut out.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay. But anyways, for those in the audience, if you do have any questions, feel free to go ahead and jump into the chats. I'll be monitoring the chats as well. All right, let's see if we can try again.
People hear me now?
Yes, way better.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I mean, the internet in the US is not always as good as it seems.
Yeah.
Just to briefly continue there. So obviously it's been almost 2 months. It has been over 2 months actually since the last time we had a live stream. But the team was not obviously going on holidays for 2 months now in summer. However, working hard on shipping a lot of new exciting features. Sure, with the bridge being one of the highlights, and Sean is going to touch base on this afterwards. Also, what can be expected going forward, and then from the fancy side, I'd say for sure on our side, we're very excited to welcome Bruce, who replaces our co-founder Marjorie on the foundation board, and particularly excited to work together with Bruce and tap into his vast experience and also his guidance when it comes to basically future of the data storage, the AI, and all of that stuff that he has been tapping into in his different projects. We will be organizing a live stream and an AMA with Bruce later this month, where you guys can be asking him any questions you might have. Then maybe less on our ship, because that's going to be touched by Jonathan. There is a couple of things that are going to be upcoming, which we're very excited about. So we have been shipping a lot of these features with our mission in mind to have actually those full circle moments as outlined first in our white paper, obviously, and then secondly with the vision articles, which are a refresher of that. There is a couple more puzzle pieces missing, some of which Jonathan will touch base later. But from my side, obviously the up and coming token generator, I'm very excited about that, as it natively is going to allow universal profiles users to not only define, but also launch their own tokens, which then can be used in an array of new ideas, some of which we still don't even tapped into. Mostly about incentivation, community, fan engagement, and so on and so on. We believe this is going to be an important catalyst for the LUKSO ecosystem. And there were some comments from the community why it is taking some time to ship this. Maybe Sean can later, or Craig when he if he's here, or when he joins, can touch base about this. But in my long story short, it is a very seamless to use token generator, which is powered by our standards and not just a copy paste from something else. Then the last piece from my side is the up and coming partnership, which was first mentioned in our last AMA, where we're looking to further deepen the collaboration with Crypto.com and a staking partner. This will allow within the Crypto.com ecosystem for users to stake licks as well. We're super excited about this because currently our two providers are maxed out, and we need more partners to further secure and strengthen our network. And as we progress, both of these new products are gonna be shaping our roadmap going forward, on let's say more on the infra side, and then from there there will be a whole array of new products on the roadmap within UE, which will be touched base later. And that's it from my side for the moment, and looking forward later on to answering your questions. Thank you.
Like a good politician.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing, Lucien. So I guess, I mean, one of the big announcements that we had within the past month was the bridge. So I wanted to dish it off to Jean, if you could cover how that process was like for you. I know we've had some conversations about this before, but if you could talk about what is next for the bridge, maybe. And I know Jonathan, you're also very much in the know about that. But I'll hand it off to Jean, our bridge MVP.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, everybody. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Jean. I lead the smart contract engineering at LUKSO, and so I can give a bit of update around the bridge, the rollout, and what's coming next. So, how the process was. It was a lot of parties involved and a lot of synchronization internally and externally with different teams, including Hyperlane, legal parties, a lot of developers, and a lot of communication that we need to sync on. And the plan on the bridge is that we have opened the route to bridge leaks to Ethereum. So now it's available on Uniswap for anyone who basically want to acquire it. And the idea is really to expand the LUKSO ecosystem to be more connected to new chains. And the plan ahead is to look at any other route that we might consider, or like any other new chain. And the main tokens that we are targeting are stable coins like USDC, where we want to be able to bridge USDC to LUKSO. In order to achieve this, we need to have some integrations on the Hyperlane tooling, which we have already prepared ahead. And so we are now working and collaborating with Hyperlane to integrate the LSP7 and LSP8 standards in their tools, so that then we can work through progressive rollout of bridging stable coins or any other coins aside of USDC to LUKSO. Aside of that, what we are planning to do is to basically work further into improving the developer experience on LUKSO. So ideally, we want to, since the bridge was taking a lot of resources into our team of engineers, now we have more time to spend on the developer experience and see what people are building. And yeah, the goal is to really to look at what developers now are struggling, what's missing in our docs, and really really showcase more like what you can do with the standards, including what you can do with the Hyperlane bridge, and and have more of these LSP by example, where people can see how you can leverage all the standards and what you can build with all the features that they bring. And and we have also, as Lucien mentioned, we are working on the token generator, and so also more features on the universaleverything.io, where we are quite involved on the smart contract side to support the team to develop all of this. And I think for unless I'm missing, so I think it's pretty much it for where we are on the bridge. So really opening all these new routes, looking at any other chain that we want to integrate it to bridge to, and see the implications on if we want to route to a new chain. I think we might be considering being able to bridge to Base, but this is not fully confirmed. But this is like a route we want to think of, and then we are open to any community feedback in what could be the tokens that are worth bridging. I think that's pretty much it for the bridge and anything around the developer side of things.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And then, so for those in the audience, if you do have any questions, we will be taking questions towards the end of this stream. So you have plenty of time to type them in the chat. But now we'd love to move on to Jonathan, if you could share. I know we just had a stream earlier about a really big liquidity provider incentive program, but let's hear what else is happening in the world of partnerships and growth.
Yeah, happy to. It's been it's been a busy month for us. But I guess the first one would have been crypto.com. Had a partnership with them. They're actually growing out their custody solution to different institutions and making that a pretty significant priority within the crypto.com kind of like entity as a product offering. And so we got talking, and they're very happy to kind of support our network, do the integration. And for LUKSO, that's huge, because for a long time we haven't had a custody solution support our network. And not everyone wants to especially larger kind of entities or institutions want to store their tokens in a hardware wallet or ledger, right? So providing more kind of options for people. So pretty excited about that. We're still working with them actively in multiple ways, and got some exciting stuff coming out between the partnership with crypto.com. So stay tuned on that. Another one was Breezing. They provide an accounting software, to monitor and keep track and generate reports for various compliance or tax kind of purposes. And so they're one of the first kind of platforms to actually fully integrate universal profiles as a login, if you will. But then listen and monitor for LSP 7 and 8 assets as well, which was very much needed, not only for our organization, but for the broader ecosystem as a whole, right? Because how many different startups or founders that are starting a project on LUKSO, but then are missing those tools to be able to bring the information back into the real world, if you will. So that was a great partnership there, and integration. With the bridge launch and the fact that native Lux could be bridged over to Ethereum, we launched the liquidity pools in partnership with Steer Protocol. They're almost like a layer, a liquidity providing. Well, they're much more than that, but one of their use cases is actually providing a layer for liquidity providers to automate, and rebalancing their positions without having to do it manually. Auto compounding. They've got like a whole library of like 30 plus different strategies for whatever your goal is within that journey of liquidity providing. And so, it's a great tool set that now anyone who wants to provide liquidity on the bridged asset versus Ethereum on LUKSO can take advantage of, and very helpful tool from that perspective. So really happy. We've been working with them. Great team. We just had a live stream earlier this week with the founder, Derek. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
That was a really good one. Giga Brain for sure.
Yeah.
An amazing team. Learned a lot from them over the last couple of months. So, Houdini Swap is, pretty well known. Privacy preserving DEX. It's privacy preserving, but then but it's also regulatory compliant, right? Which is the beauty of it. They integrated the native token of the network. We're in conversations with them to also support the bridged asset as well. So stay tuned for that. Those guys have been great. They've been, very helpful, to get us integrated into to other kind of fiat on ramps as well, and making those introductions. And that leads to StealthX, which was quite recent. It's a fiat on ramp kind of swapping platform. Craig did a very nice live stream, which I think the recap for that came out today. So if you're non-technical, and even if you're technical too, but you're trying to understand the vision of LUKSO and what we're really building here, definitely check that out, because he's he's very artful at being able to communicate that to a broader audience. So definitely check that out. Let's say other than that, this week we announced what we saw recently was a lot of centralized exchanges started offering. What did they start offering? My brain's a bit fried. It's been a long week, but they started offering a non-custodial wallet solution as part of their offering, right? So if you download, the BigGet Exchange wallet, the Gate wallet, they've also got, a non-custodial kind of Web3 wallet side within that product, where you could transfer funds in there, get access if it's listed, right? They often have pretty good coverage, but depending on the exchange, they don't cover everything. That's on, for example, Ethereum on Uniswap. So, we saw that as a as an amazing opportunity once the bridge was live, and we had the ERC20 version of Lux to start working with the exchanges to improve access to the token through those platforms as well, because that's the beauty of it, right? You've got the you've got the access to the user base in a way, and the user base has access to the token. And then what's great about it is it's all from the same kind of liquidity pool on the chain, right? It's not split up and fragmented across basically the same pair across multiple exchanges. So I've really been kind of focused on getting the token more accessible across these Web3 wallet solutions. So yeah, this week BitGet, Gate, OKX, we'll continue to work hard to make it more available on other Web3 wallets as well. So
expect more announcements on this. We're dropping them left and right. I'm excited.
Yeah. So other stuff coming down the pipeline, but you guys will see it when you see it. But we're really happy to be working with the people that we have been able to work with, and are super grateful of their support. And not easy times in crypto, right? But there's a lot of good people in this space, so too many to shout out within the Web3 space, but we're really happy about it.
Amazing. And then just to reiterate, I know we had shared info about the Merkle liquidity provider incentive campaign, but how do folks get involved? Or I know we just had a whole stream about this earlier, but just wanted to, because I think that was like probably one of this is something we haven't done before, and it's a really cool or really big highlight since we've dropped the bridge.
Yeah, totally. So I heard echo for a second, but
it's probably my mic here.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry. On that side of things, so as we were saying before, right, Hyperlane bridge got launched. People that had native Lux on Luxo could bridge it over, right? That's more relevant for a community who already have Lux on Luxo. But if you're new, you don't even have to worry about that, right? Because now there's a liquidity pool pair between Lux and ETH in Uniswap on Ethereum. And so, if you check out Luxo, check out the docs, there's a whole trove of Fabian's interviews, and across the team, just to understand what's being built. And if you're aligned with the vision and want to participate, there's an option for you to, participate and also provide liquidity to drive the adoption of the token, right? So with that, we have dropped kind of like an incentive campaign earlier today in partnership with Merkle.xyz. And so they specialize in incentives and have worked with all the largest kind of DeFi protocols. And so, the opportunity for anyone who wants to get involved is you can enter the campaign. Basically, by default, there's two routes to provide liquidity. You can either do it directly through Uniswap, provide liquidity there. You'd be accounted for in the Merkle rewards, or you could provide liquidity through Steer Protocol, which is that layer on top of Uniswap for easier liquidity providing, right? So multiple ways there, depending on what you choose and what your preference is. And then the campaign's going to last for a week. They are boosted kind of incentives or APRs, outside of the normal liquidity provision that anyone would do. So it's an extra kind of incentive or boost on that. The target, APY is 30%, assuming 500,000 of TVL gets provided in the pool. So, the earlier you kind of join, obviously the APR is much higher than that right now, right? So, pretty simple. If you're new to it, really good live stream that was hosted by Annalisa earlier today, with Baptiste from Merkle.xyz, who went through, the whole process, and it's a lot easier than you think. He also had some really good resources if you wanted to learn more, but it's a pretty easy process, really.
Amazing.
Not sure if I missed anything, but yeah, that's what comes to mind so far.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Any for Hack the Grid, any updates there, or should we pause that for announcements or upcoming announcements?
Stay tuned. Have to admit, I know a lot of people have been asking for it, and an update on that front. Have to admit, we're falling a little bit behind on that side of things, but are definitely kind of picking things back up on that side of it. Definitely wanted to wait until after the bridge launch to host the Hack the Grid level 4. We've changed up the structure a bit, so yeah, it'll make sense once it's announced and comes out. But yeah, it's something we are going to move forward with, and has taken a bit more time just because, yeah, we had a lot of things going on with the launch. So it's coming. Yeah.
Awesome.
I want to interject in here and answer a few questions of that I see here in the chat. And also a big reminder, the Pectra hard fork is coming up on the 18th of September. So if you run a validator, you want to make sure you update your node. Otherwise, you might be just running out of sync and your validators do get slashed or do not participate in the actual chain. So yeah, that's important. Pectra hard fork, very big deal, because we basically then will be on par back with Ethereum mainnet's features. There's one question about bridging other type of tokens. So LSP8 is currently, I'm not sure if that's currently supported, but the problem is every token that we bridge over Hyperlane, we would need to open a route. And once you open a route, the route needs to stay on forever. So we are very cautious and conscious about what routes do we want to open, because they need to be literally maintained forever. There's a governance on each route that needs to be maintained forever. So there needs to be a certain value before that makes sense to do. Obviously, Lux is that, a stable coin is that as well. When it comes to meme coins, depends. Maybe for that, it makes more sense to use different type of bridge architectures that basically allow people to just create their own routes on their own, or create their own system, which you could do on Hyperlane as well, but you wouldn't have an interface. But there's other architectures and people that we talk to that might make that very easy or easier. It's always a balance between security, complexity, and all of these things. There's a question about a fashion brand collaboration. There's not a fashion brand collaboration, and it's something that we haven't yet fully announced, but we're actually working closely together with Sleek Magazine. And Sleek Magazine is a big German lifestyle magazine. It's like a magazine that lays out in hotel lobbies and is read by people of culture and high-end culture in Germany and beyond, because it's in German and English. If you want to check it out, it's called sleekmag.com. And they want to really go full on Web3 on many levels with digital editions, with using NFT for events and all of these things. And that will all happen on LUKSO. So that's something that we haven't fully announced yet publicly in an official form, but that's something that's upcoming.
Awesome.
So yeah, and then I just need to, in 1 minute, get my eggs out of the water and cool them off. And and then I want to talk a little bit about the experience that I had, actually. So we basically just were 1 week at Burning Man. And Burning Man, the ones who don't know, is an alternative reality that pops up once a year in the middle of the desert of Nevada. And it's not a festival in that sense, because it's not like organized by one group and then they have the gigs coming and blah, blah, blah. It's basically 80,000 people just gather in an extremely harsh environment to then just do what the heck they want. You know, either provide an art car or, you know, get DJs and make music and give food or give drinks or make performances or whatever. And the whole place functions without money. So it's a gifting society. That's one of the core principles. That means everything there is free. The moment you enter, there's no money existing anymore. And there's no money exchange anywhere. And it's basically a massive social experiment of what can an alternative reality be. And in this case, it's not a small one. 80,000 people, that's a proper city. And I need to just drop my axe into the water. And yeah, it's very fascinating. This is my second time, and the last time I was there was 8 years ago. So it's a long time ago. And this is now the second time. Obviously, a lot more LEDs, a lot more colorful lights because technology evolved in that sense. The art cars are massive. It's anyone who hasn't seen it, I would highly recommend you watch some YouTube videos and see how it looks like, because it is absolutely mind-blowing. So think of like a space alien city just landed on Earth, and you can walk around in it. But what's so interesting about this is because it is a 1 week alternative reality that people create, you know, and then it disappears and people go back to default life and, you know, everything as it is. You know, you buy and sell and you do the survival things and so on. Depending which country you are, they're harsher or less harsh. But actually, we have the ability through Web3 to completely like reinvent the way we do things and rethink society. And this is actually the whole purpose of universal profiles and of LUKSO. It's never has been just to be another, you know, chain to do another of the same. It always has been to be that foundation to play and experiment what a different type of society can be. And actually, Kat and I recorded a little video while we were walking here. I'm currently in San Francisco, so we were in Moon Bay, which is east of Palo Alto. And we recorded a little video that I will drop after this. It's 20 minutes debating, you know, all of these things. So what could society be and look like, you know, if we just rethink it? So stay tuned for that and watch it after if you want, if I can get that uploaded. But yeah, I want to give a little bit of a big picture on what we are building. You know, that all fits into this big, long vision that we are building here. And the big piece is the token generator. As Lucian already mentioned, the token generator will basically allowing anybody to create any kind of type of token as they want. So currently, it will just allow you to create an LSP7 on an LSP8, and you can upload pictures and you can update pictures. You can fix your broken LSP8 tokens that you already deployed like a year ago. You will be able to do a lot of things. You know, you basically can now use the powers of LSP7 and LSP8 that make tokens more dynamic, right? You can literally update them or update at least the metadata. You can't update the balances. That would be a problem. Yeah, and we will give more custom tokens with more functionality. For example, non-transferable tokens or partially or time-based non-transferable tokens, or tokens that can only be owned by one address. So you can only have max 1 unit, which is really good for a batch, for a status symbol you want to give out in the community. And there will be a lot coming in the version 2, but in the version 1 already, it allows you to create pretty much anything. Any kind of token you can imagine for whatever purpose you can imagine. And this is kind of like the baseline, right? If we want to rethink tokens outside of how we know them so far, and how we know them so far in Web3 is like a token needs to have a value, a monetary value, right? And it's either, you know, a project that I'm creating, or it's something that I'm giving out and selling, or nowadays it's a meme coin. But tokens can be far more than that, right? They can be a signal of reputation. They can be a signal of participation. They can be a clear sign of membership or a badge or status. It can be things that have just meaning within a certain community and don't have any monetary value. And that will be the tokens of the future. Tokens will be the signal that give you transparency and insight into anyone's network interests, a status within those networks. And that is the kind of transparency that we so far didn't really have. They only exist within closed platforms, if at all. And that's experimentation that honestly I would like to see happening. And that was the whole purpose why we built all of this. So the next step, and this is kind of like what describes the LUKSO journey. Where are we going? Why we are doing all of this, right? Like, and are you just like clueless, like doing some magic, crazy tech with universal profile, and then you don't know what to do? No, there is a whole plan. There's a plan. There has been always a plan. That's why we have so much tech that's so detailed and so specific. And the biggest thing that we need to achieve, in Web3, and that's not just true for LUKSO, that's true for whole Web3, is we need to get full circles. We need to get a full circle, a purpose, something that you want to repeat doing that's outside of buying and selling something. Because the only full circle we have in crypto is buying and selling. That's why DeFi is a thing. That's why trading is a thing. But we haven't moved Web3 beyond that. And if we don't move it beyond that trading purpose, then we will exclude 95% of the rest of the world, because they might not be interested in buying and selling, and maybe they don't even have money to buy and sell. And even if they would, maybe they wouldn't take the risk, because they're not interested in just like, not everybody's a trader. In fact, most traders are bros. So you literally just get dudes, which is a sausage party, which is what Web3 is today. And Annalisa and other women can probably tell. You go to a conference, no one there, really, besides dudes. And that only changes when we give it a different kind of functionality. And what that can be, for example, is using tokens as a means of showing participation. I mean, proof of attendance, for example, is a really good use case. I mean, we have POAP, we had the POAP app, obviously, on Ethereum, and it was quite popular. But because it was missing the identity, you didn't have an actual profile, you just had a wallet. You always forgot where you got that POAP last year that you now need again for that conference where you want to get a ticket discount, or where you want to ideally get an OG status entry or whatever, right? Like, you wouldn't even know anymore. On one of your 50 wallets, you got that. And then each device has this different set of wallets. So it's like a lot more. It's very complicated. So the identity piece is the important one. And it also allows us to give this transparency that other people can see, okay, that person is into this and this and this, and he has participated there and there and there. Look, for example, I mean, I'm asking myself the question, like, why don't I have the Ethereum OG token, right? That gets me into every Ethereum event. Shouldn't I have it, given my contribution to the network, right? And to the community? Shouldn't I have some kind of special badge that, like, lasts a lifetime, that gets me into every Ethereum conference forever? I guess it would make sense, that I have that. But there was no identity that I could ever even have it on, right? And there's not even identities that could issue that. Like that's the other thing, right? We need also the identity from the reverse point of view. Who's giving you the badge? Who's giving you the status? Should be a known entity. Should be a recognizable profile. So the full circle basically that we are building is a way to create those tokens, a way to then verify that you hold a certain token. And that's really useful, for example, if you want to check that somebody can get into the event, having a certain status. Maybe he bought a ticket, or maybe he's just an OG. Maybe he's just a LUKSO OG who has been around for 4 years following this whole project, and there's this big event and they get in just because they have been around. So you need an easy way to verify that a people holds a certain token, or a set of tokens, or a combination of tokens. And that's kind of the full circle that will enable like crypto in the real world. Like that enables tokenization of things in the real world that allows us to just go and use it in a weekly, daily basis, maybe on a meetup, maybe on the next meetup, and maybe on that community, maybe in Common Ground, in some chats, or maybe in some drop that I need to get somewhere else. But more important to me is actually using it in the real world on this continuous basis as we visit people, as we make events, as we do exchanges of reputation in our daily lives. And that's what this tech is built for. And we are building the tools to make these kind of flows happen, because they will actually move crypto outside of that niche there where it is right now and bring it into the rest of the world. And that's the whole goal here. If we achieve that, seamlessness, if we make it possible that you can create a profile within seconds, which only requires us to remove the password requirement on the mobile app, and then you get that already. And then you instantly can just claim something by just scanning a QR code or just searching for something, or going to a universal profile and clicking on that mini app and click that button claim. When we achieve these kind of very easy flows, that's when we open the floodgates of possibilities. And that will need to be tested out with certain and smaller communities or bigger communities like Sleek Magazine and others. And then over time, it can become a self-runner. And that's the vision, that's the plan. And there is millions of different ways we can make these things happen. And we start by the simple ones, right? Proof of attendance, verifying the ownership of a token, being able to create any kind of token. And community can contribute their own apps and own ways of doing things. And the sky's the limit of how this can unfold. But it needs to be tested in the real world. It needs to be used and reused. It needs to become a thing. It needs to become a reusable thing you want to not just do because you invested in the project and you think, oh my God, I need to participate because the price needs to go up. No, you want to do it because it makes sense. It's fun. It's the only way where you can do it, these things, or can collect these things in that way, and hold your reputation truly on something that you only own yourself, your autonomous digital identity. So yeah, that's just a bigger picture draw. Maybe Thomas, you want to maybe bring in some details to those things that just touch point, if you want to bring on some details on things that we're releasing.
Yeah, and then also, I'm not sure if the community has met Thomas since he's joined the team. Well, of course, I'm sure the community knows Thomas or knows of Thomas, but yeah, if you could start off and give an intro and add some extra context to what is happening in the world of the token generator and what else may be happening in the world of UE.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. Can you guys hear me okay? Perfect. So yeah, you may know me as Leadfoot. I've been around the community forever. Not forever, since like 2021, something like that. I was building a project called Upturn, and successfully went through a couple of grant rounds building that. I joined the LUKSO team at the start of this year, so I've been here for a good amount of time now. In startup land, it's a very, very long time. Really, really good team, and we're building incredible product right on the cutting edge of blockchain tech, which is super exciting. Yeah, I guess a good way to kind of follow on from what Fabian was talking about, the things that we are most focused on right now would be, I would say, if we were to boil it all down, it's onboarding, but also usability of the mobile app. So you heard certain things like the Sleek Magazine or Sleek partnership that we have coming up. A really boiled down use of how we will kind of collaborate with them is essentially providing a access pass and verification service for them. So you can imagine they're providing a ticket to their members, and we'll have a verification app that allows each member to essentially be scanned in to the venue or wherever they're holding these events. So this will get rolled out not just to Sleek, but to every user. So you can imagine like small artists or people running events can essentially use the mobile app and the network to create and distribute their digital assets. So it's really giving actual use case to blockchain rather than just trading and all the boring things, that have already been done. So this is all kind of like, I would say, contained in this new social fi kind of, I know that's a buzzword, world, where we're just trying to find like new use cases, essentially. So how this all kind of strings together would be a user creating a token, for example, like the turn token, which is super valuable, as Jean now knows. He's one of the big holders. And being able to essentially distribute that token to users for attendance, or if they've bought a NFT, like a digital piece of merchandise. I will plug my own merchandise again, some Leadfoot merchandise to be precise. And that's the way that I kind of started using LUKSO and the Universal Everything tools initially, in a very, very manual style way. So like I was distributing mint passes for Upturn, which allows you to use the protocol. And then the people who had actually bought the mint pass, let's call them like attendees, I would distribute a certain amount of turn token to them based on which digital assets they held. And I've kind of been doing this since like 2021. I was doing this like on L16 testnet around the same time Family was doing their NFT drops. So I really align with like this vision, and the use case is kind of obvious to me because I've been using it for so long. Yeah, and we have a really nice roadmap. I think we've kind of worked on a roadmap, Frank and I, who is the other PM at Universal Everything. So we've obviously got the token generator coming along. We also have a small little mini app called the Token Claim mini app, which is kind of similar to the airdrop tool, except it's like it's user facing. So essentially, like obviously you'll own a digital asset and you'll be able to claim a certain amount of tokens, similar to how I explained before. If someone held a certain Upturn pass, I would be able to set up a claim where a user can come along and claim a certain amount of tokens based on like a tiered system or a certain value of tokens. Maybe they're OGs, and the OG NFT is worth a certain amount more. But you're going to be able to set this up and have your users come along at any time. So it's not just like a one-off airdrop, similar to the airdrop tool. But you'll be able to come along as a user and claim the tokens that you've earned by collecting these NFTs or buying them or attending, et cetera, et cetera. So like a lot of these things align with the kind of underlying use case for Universal Everything and the Universal Profile mobile app and browser extension. Regarding the mobile app and the browser extension, we have some really cool features coming along, like the in-app browser, which is essentially going to allow you to browse through different applications that are in the LUKSO ecosystem directly from the mobile app. This is a really huge feature that's been being worked on for quite some time. And really, it's the first time we're going to see, other than being able to send tokens, and import your universal profile and see your collectibles and tokens that you have in your wallet. This is the first time you're actually going to kind of be able to use the mobile app a little bit more. It's like an extended version, which is really nice. And you're essentially going to be able to browse Universal Everything without having to leave the mobile app itself. I was testing it today, and like we are so close to releasing this, it's crazy. We've also got some nice features as well, like backup and restore coming out. The embedded wallet, like that may be a little bit deep and a little bit far away, but that's another kind of like onboarding tool where essentially you have like the create profile flow embedded into a certain website. So you don't even need your browser extension installed. You just use like a key pass or something like this.
Yeah, maybe I can add something to this, the embedded wallet, because we haven't spoken about that yet publicly anywhere. So it's a little bit like a privy or a Web3 auth for universal profiles. And that means you will be able to create a profile on a device without installing a mobile app or a browser extension, and having a very easy way to create a profile. That's really specifically important for DApps that want to onboard people. They might not have yet a profile. So it should be just a few clicks and you have a profile. And then you can obviously reuse your profile. You could later, export that or into other devices like a mobile app or, like the browser extension or other apps that people will build in the future. But it needs to be an easy first start, right? And the first start should be ideally not requiring a lot of barriers. And I also want to say one thing additionally to, and a little bit of a tiny side story, because I have been in crypto since 2013. I've probably been on all the large conferences at least once that happen in crypto and that exist in crypto, from like, DEF CON to NFT, NYC to whatever, all the big conferences in Asia and America and Europe, wherever. And the surprising thing is that even with like $2 trillion and $3 trillion market caps and a massive industry and a lot of money to be made, when you're at these conferences, no one is using crypto. Like barely anyone is using crypto. I've literally seen exactly 2 instances where crypto has been used on a conference successfully. Number one, proof of intent, the POAP app is used. So people go around and claim POAPs. They're just claiming it on a connected wallet, which they probably forget, the problem I mentioned earlier. And then there was the most successful one that I saw was in East Denver. There were food trucks outside of the venue. And in order to use the food trucks, you basically created a burner wallet, which is you just go to a website, it generated a private key. You got like 10 DAI sent to it, and then you could spend them at the food trucks. So that's why people literally had to use an actual wallet, and pay in actual crypto to get, their food. And it worked. And it worked because it was seamless. And it worked because it was a real world thing. And that's why it's so important what we are creating is to bring it into the real world, to make people go to events and claim things at events, go to events and have to use what they claimed or got or earned or wherever they got it and how they got it in the real world. Because when you do that, that's when it starts to become a cycle that makes sense to you outside of just you sitting at home on your computer, typing. And that's when it becomes a thing in culture. That's when it becomes a thing in communities that haven't touched crypto, because now there's a tool that allows them to show status or, give them some certain kind of status or access that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get. And even things that you can go get in one event that's completely disconnected from another event, but it's still, useful in the other event as well, because the other event host says, hey, if you have that, I don't know, let's go crazy. You have that Supreme token from XYZ event, you get like, something also with our event, even though they're completely disconnected hosts. That's the power of tokenization, right? That's the power of what this can do, because those assets exist independent of any of those. They exist they're owned by the people who create them. So when we get this into the real world and we get this to be used in the real world, that's when we start to make history. That's when we start to bring Web3 into the real world in a way that hasn't been the case yet. And even though crypto seems ubiquitous, everybody talks about it and everybody had some token or holds some ether or whatever, it is completely non-existent in the real world. Not even on the crypto conferences, which would be the most pristine place that crypto should be prevalent everywhere, right? It's non-existent because there has been no use outside of buying and selling. And there has been no accessibility to it and no purpose. We are here to bring the purpose and the tools that other people can bring the purpose to these things. And that's the goal of all of this. That's why we're doing and building all these things. And that's why they take so much time, because we're building a huge puzzle that only when plugged together creates these new pictures that you couldn't even imagine before because the pieces were missing. And we're building those pieces to make it happen in the real world. And it's all about the real world, actually, which will make this a thing. Yeah, that's just as a side note to Thomas Ledfoot here and the things we're building.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing. Just since we are running a little bit close to time, wanted to grab some questions from the audience. So I think, Lucian, there was one that you wanted to address. Is that?
Yeah, just bring it on, all of them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so there was a question about what was our what's happening with LUKSO representation in just like the overall APAC region. This person said, specifically wondering what our developer representation is, specifically within India. That is a massive emerging tech market.
Yeah, sure. Let me just first thank Fabian for this beautiful sum up of the vision after a week spent in the Nevada desert. And so, yeah, we did last year push eastward, right? John talked about this a couple times already, and we are still pushing eastward. There's a couple initiatives John is driving currently. It is not here at the moment, but from my side, yeah, we are actively looking at the Asian market, mostly Korea. While also John has been speaking with some potential partners also in India within universities, and I think Natasha also has been active on that front. We do see it, obviously, and we share this vision that it is a massive emerging tech market with a lot of talent. And again, it's a question of timing. As Fabian mentioned, when all of the puzzle pieces are there, the vision will become much easier to grasp, and some of those developers will get inspired just yeah, then by exactly the tools being in place, and then new seamless applications being being able to be built, right? So it is a marathon, not a sprint. On that side, I think we are on a great track. The discoverability that Fabian has been talking about also a lot lately, I think will be also an additional important piece here. And we do slowly are heading into that state where we comfortably can say that the most important puzzle pieces are in place.
I would actually like to add something to this, just so this is understood, because why Ethereum needed a lot of developers, right? Because we started at slate 0, and then people needed to come up with ideas. Obviously, the moment ERC20 happened, ICOs happened, then everything really went down the train of buying, selling, issuing tokens, reissuing tokens on top of other tokens, and combining all that stuff in like some complex ways. But the cool thing is, because the biggest piece was universal profile, is the identity. Right now you have an on-chain identity where you can have followers, an account you can long-lasting hold. So things that were hard in Ethereum, like for example, there were debates about soul-bound tokens. And there was a debate about soul-bound tokens that never really happened at scale. Why? Not because it's hard to make a soul-bound token. In fact, this is the easiest thing to do. A soul-bound token is as simple as creating an ERC20 and making the transfer function revert. And so you can't transfer it, right? And now you have a soul-bound token. It's just the easiest thing to do. Why it never happened is because the wallets are constantly changing. You don't use a single wallet consistently. And if it's a private key wallet, you don't even have the chance that you might not lose that, or you need to change it at some point, potentially, right? And universal profiles, accounts that can change their security models, that have permissions and keys you can replace, recovery, and all of this stuff, change the game. So now you can have a soulbound token plugged on your profile that you anywhere care to want to have for years, and now it's not a problem anymore. So when we're building the mechanics, for example, when we're building an app that you can sell a token, which is on the end then just a mini app, right? That same mechanic can be used in many, many different ways. And that needs to be understood. You don't necessarily need to have an ICO launchpad, or a ticketing app, or all of these other things in their own complexity. You basically just need a single mini app that allows you to sell a token. And then it's up to you who hosts that mini app to say, okay, I'm making a token launch for my project, or I'm selling a ticket for my event, or I take donations, and you will get that token back if you give me some donations. Whatever the purpose is, it's under the hood using the exact same mechanic. It's the same mini app. You don't need a different mini app for different purposes. You just need the same mini app for all those same things. So it's up to people what they use it for. We just need to build the mechanic once. And obviously, once things fly, you can build more complex token selling app with more complex mechanics of how tokens being sold. Sure, you can always go endlessly into details, as we see with DeFi, right? But to just make the base thing happen, it just needs the one token selling mini app, and it's useful for hundreds, thousands different of purposes for different people and different reasons. You just need to write the title on top, whatever you want this to be, right? If it's a donation, if it's you making an ICO, or if it's you selling an event, or you selling a membership, that's what needs to be understood. The mechanics and the mini apps and the things that we are building allow you already to do everything. They're like, and then obviously they can be more detailed and more complex over time. But just to make the base thing work, you don't need to have all these different apps. You just need the mechanic. Selling a token mechanic, claiming a token mechanic, creating a token mechanic. And once we have these base mechanics, it's a 10,000-fold possibility range of things. And those are up to you guys. You need to figure out what you want to do. Ideally, it's a little bit out of the box and not what we have seen already 100 times or 1,000 times somewhere else. But it's up to everyone to then just reinvent what it means to create a token, what it means to give or sell a token. And in what kind of context are you using that, and what forms are you using that? And our job is to build those basic tools in the first iteration that enable you to create this, sell it, verify it in a real world event, send it, distribute it, airdrop it. That's what we build. That's what we bring to the table. And you guys then can take those mechanics and combine them whatever ways you want to create whatever reality you want. So that's I wanted to just add that, because it doesn't need 1 million developers. It just needs to be a few base mechanics to exist, and then we can test out the shit out of it, endlessly until we see what sticks or what makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome. So someone had said, I'm not sure if this has been addressed, but I'd love to see modules added, or love to see more modules added to the token generator, like Lego blocks, including a tool to link generic. It's in the chat.
Yeah. So for NFC QR code. So this is exactly what we are. So we will build a mini app for generating these token claimer. So token claim mini app. So there's 3 things that we're building. Obviously, the token generator, 4 things. The token generator, a way to sell tokens in a very simple form, a way to make tokens claimable through a QR code, NFC chip, and so on. It's a little more complicated. It needs mostly custom apps, but basic things like a QR code really works really well. And a way to verify that you hold certain tokens. So you can give that app to the doorman and say, here, open your phone, go to this app, let me set it up for you. He needs this token and that token. And then the doorman doesn't need to understand crypto. He doesn't need to have a universal profile. He doesn't need to understand shit. He just needs to have that mobile phone, open website where he just scans QR codes of other people that come in. And they just show that on their mobile app. Mm-hmm. And that's how you get an easy in. Or not, if you don't have the right token. Yeah, exactly. This is the things we're building. But the token generator will have a lot more cool features of creating more custom tokens. Like what I mentioned before, you can make a token be ownable only by only ownable by a certain amount of addresses, or you can make them ownable only by you have only 1 unit per address. And if you can have only 1 unit per address, now it's a batch that like literally is impossible to trade, because you couldn't even put it into a Uniswap pool. because the Uniswap could only hold one unit as well, you know. So you could only ever buy and sell one at a time. Very slow trading. And that prevents trading, and that's specifically important for batches, specifically important for things you want to make not necessarily, you know, tradable, right? You want to give it that reputational score, or not transferable, right? So those kind of features will be added down the road. And these are all custom contracts that you will then also nicely see when you go to Universal Everything and you look at the token. You will see, okay, this is a non-transferable token. This is ownable only like 10 units per address or 1 unit per address. You will see all of these things, which will give transparency to the visitors and to the people that use your token, because they also want to know what are the rules here, right? Can they mint more? Is this fixed amount? Is this forever, you know, fixed in amounts existing? And all of this stuff needs to be visible, and that's what we're working on to make this very clear and transparent.
Awesome. And then this may be for Jean and Thomas, but this was actually from a lot earlier. This person had to jump to a meeting, but they wanted someone to ask if you have an idea on like the cadence of the progressive rollout for the bridge. So I think specifically this person is asking when stable coins, and then also, what is the ETA on the token generator? I know we said this month, so if it's looking like that, then we can just confirm. Jean or Thomas, you want to take?
Yeah, for stable coins, we basically wouldn't have like an ETA. I mean, I will believe that that will happen roughly. I mean, Fabian can also give extra details, but I believe it will happen before the end of the year. The first thing that really will need to be completed in order that we have a stable coins is that we have LSP7 and 8 standard integrated in Hyperlane, which so far looks good and promising, because we have already talked to them about it. We have the code fully ready, and it's just about opening the PR and having uploading a pull request into the SDK repository and having them merged and released. So that's always why I'm mentioning that it's a lot of it's always like that in Web3, really. When any project you are working on, when you need to have integrations, often you have to have other service providers here, Hyperlane, that needs to integrate your feature. And once we have like that really included, it could happen. It could happen fairly fast. For now, we want first to see the other route for LUKS. I mean, maybe Fabian, you have
I want to add something to this. I mean, exactly. We are not holding things artificially back. It's not that we are having some kind of like master plan on like dropping stablecoin left and right at what point. It's purely just depending on if Hyperlane adds LSP7, and then we're in the process of this, you know, and it has been already built. This is really just about making it happen. This can be as fast as like 2 weeks. This can be as fast as like a month. It depends on things. Could be 2 months. It doesn't depend on us really, but we will add definitely USDC ASAP, and we want to open a round to base with LUKS. All of these things should happen within the next few weeks. None of this is being like, you know, scheduled on any kind of magic schedule. It's just basically depending on the development time and the availability of the other, you know, partners that obviously run the interfaces. You know, we don't run that bridge technically; it's just run by other people, and the interface is run by Hyperlane, and we just so need to integrate into their stuff. That's pretty much it here.
Cool. And then, so yeah, go ahead, Thomas.
Sorry, for the token gen, I'm not going to drop too much alpha because I think that would be irresponsible. But conservatively, we can actually say that the luminaries are going to have like first dibs at testing the token generator. Now, this testing ceremony is one of many that we've already performed internally, and it won't block the release. So unless something critical comes out of this testing ceremony, UX is blocked or there's some issues there, it's crashing the web page or something like that, of course we're going to fix it. But the idea is to have the final form of the token generator completed before this testing ceremony, and that testing ceremony should either be next Thursday, more or less, or the week after, if everything goes right. The launch date, we just can't say right now. But assuming all goes well, it would be very soon after the Luminaries testing ceremony.
Awesome.
Yeah, and also there's a question here about saying, hey, the in-app browser, is that the revival of the Mist browser? I mean, yes and no, I don't know. I mean, so the in-app browser basically means that within the UP mobile app, you will be able to, browse profiles and interact, with Universal Everything, and also add your own custom D-apps onto your little Universal Profile dashboard, so you can easily access apps that are relevant to you. So it's just simply making it very accessible. And the cool thing is, because it is integrated directly, you basically are auto-connected to Universal Everything at all times. That means interacting with a mini app on Universal Everything is as simple as just open that discovery, going to that profile, clicking the connect button on that mini app and doing something. So it's all about making things as seamless and as smooth as possible, while keeping the system so generic that anything could be built on top of it and anything can come out of it. It's because on the end, LUKSO is Ethereum. It's a generic everything machine, and we're building the frame for the generic everything machine and wanted to make it as accessible and useful as possible, and usable. That's where the challenge lies. Make a very generic new system, very usable and user-friendly, while keeping it totally generic. That's always that's the challenge that we have. While others build custom apps that do 5 things, we build a framework that can do anything, because it's just like an access to a blockchain. Yeah, cool. Anything else, Thomas?
Yeah, I want to jump on your last comment. I think also that's why we really want to get back and focus more on anything around what you can do with the standards and the documentation with things like LSP by example, because it's really what exactly as Fabian said, all the standards and the technology is really a generic framework, where the standards provide features. So the features are what can that do? Things like the key manager now allows you to give permissions, and all the integrations as well give features. Like Hyperlane allow you to bridge assets between Ethereum and LUKSO, or even more. It's even like a protocol for general message across chain. But now the next step really is, what can I do with that? And that's why, first, what Fabian described is really the general framework around the standards, and our very general framework. It's not like it allows you to do this specific thing. It allows you to do many things. So it's really up to the builders to build that. So yeah, so really expect that. Expect a lot on the documentation side coming up in the coming months to showcase that, because we also want to highlight that with a bridge, because the bridge, the thing that's important to understand is that okay, there will be new assets coming on LUKSO from Ethereum, things like stable coins, and okay, having the stable coins on the network is great, is one thing, but then what do you do with the stable coins and the standards together. You know, like do you build protocols like when someone follow me, like I tip you USDC, so like you have like a KOL incentive mechanism, or like do you do things like when you bridge an asset to this address, then it's stake automatically on the protocol, or like when you or like you can, when you know, like you give a lot of automation around it, or with a permission you just have like more complex treasury or like management profiles. So really it's also really about that. I think it's a good time right now for anyone to ask any question around the standards and be curious about it, or like share any ideas so that we can have more content to include into our documentation, or like example use case to showcase. Because with a bridge asset, it will give us also new things new assets to build with and to play around with.
And I want to add something to this, like again, like I said, our goal is to make these things more user friendly, more accessible, more easy to use, and that's exactly what our job is building, right? We're building, you know, the tools to make it accessible, and it's a challenge because you need to make it accessible to developers and easy to understand to developers, but then also to non-technical people that don't want to actually have any of the complexity visible, right? So there's this balance to be struck. But like the ultimate goal for LUKSO and the ultimate success for us would be if we get LUKSO to be the main place where decentralized communities form, where people literally turn their single profile that they create for a certain purpose into a collective where there's 5, 6, 7 people, like, you know, using the same profile together in some form, like we have, for example, right now with chat and all of these different kind of meme coins, right? They are in a way community, like they're like a multi-owned profile. And then ultimately, if they transform into DAOs, like literally being governed by hundreds and thousands of people, but it's the same profile, the same address, the same identity that all the way started from a single person to this 1,000 people, you know, thing. If we get the people to use LUKSO mainly for running communities, and we have, you know, Common Ground as a tool for chats and token gating and now token issuance and then verification, ownership, LUKSO is going to be the place where communities can happen, decentralized communities can happen for real in the most generic way possible. If we achieve that, we win. We absolutely win. We are overtaking everything then this way. And we are set up that way. And because identity is a inherent thing of LUKSO, right? Like everybody is a profile that makes everything social by default. And that's the goal. So, and there's a lot more tools and a lot more things to be built to make it easier, and, you know, specifically for non-technical people. And it's going to be a journey that's going to be for years, you know, like we will, like, you know, chisel on those details to make that as seamless and as fun as possible. Mm-hmm. And then it's up to anyone to come up with what communities do they want to create, what kind of communities, what kind of activities and actions and things people want to do. And ideally they touch the real world a lot, because that's where we will start to make strides and get the rest of the world to pay attention.
Yep, right on. Speaking of tools, I think, Thomas, you did want to mention something that is also in the works. Is that correct?
I do. I just don't know if I've got permission to do so. It's our 3.
We were hitting we've got questions for you, Fabian, also in the private chat, if it's okay if we do mention.
1 second, let me check.
Yeah.
A 3-letter acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, so many messages. I mean, the LUKSO migration.
Not that one, but yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay, what is the one? Okay, yeah, UNS. No, absolutely, we can mention that.
Go for it, Thomas.
Yeah, UNS. So this is one of the things that we're working on and have been working on for the last few months is a universal name system. And the universal name system will basically allow you to buy your unique name for your profile. So it's ENS on LUKSO, and because on LUKSO everybody's a profile, it makes a lot more sense to have a unique name. Yep. And that unique name basically will be your forever internet identity name, as long as you register it. and it's decentralized as long as you registered it. For the time you have registered it, it's completely yours. And that basically will also turn your profile link, which is currently profile link / your name @ sign and your first smart contract addresses, into profile link / just your name. Because let's say there's Leadfoot, it will be profile.link / Leadfoot if Leadfoot bought the name. Or he probably gets it for free. Because he has been around.
That was my next question.
That's right. But it needs to cost. Names need to cost, because otherwise people would squat them, and then no one else gets names anymore, and we would have a economy that we have today with the internet domains, where somebody bought, I don't know, mobile.com, and then some other company to buy it for millions of dollars. So there is actually what we will do. We will pre-register a lot of names that specifically of brands and other things to make sure that squatting can't happen. Otherwise, that would kind of become a blackmail, I guess. We also getting blackmailed. Lux.eth is being blackmailed. It's owned by the DexGem guy who doesn't want to give it to us without an insane amount of money, which is uncool. Not gonna lie. Anyway, that's why you can keep it, and it has no value. So up to him. Yeah. UNS, big deal. Exact time frame we don't have yet. I mean, the interface is in the works. The smart contracts are already 80% done. It's all basically depends on us having the bridge now out, popping out that other the few warp routes, and then we can full on focus on the docs and getting UNS out of the door. So awesome. ETA months, hopefully not too many.
Yeah.
But pretty close. We have
I can mention it because I remember, Fabian, we talked about it. There could be the option. We'll have to see how hard it is to implement, but to pay your UNS name with stablecoins, for instance.
Interesting.
This
is example of ideas of whatever.
Great use for stablecoin.
For bridging assets, how it can be integrated. Sorry, I cannot hear anyone. My stream crashed again.
Oh no, but we can hear you.
Okay, I need to reload.
Okay. I'll hit the private chat. Awesome. Anything you wanted to add on that, Thomas? Otherwise, we do have time for, I think there's 2 more questions.
Nothing really internally, but I guess one last thing that I will add is I don't think there's ever been a better time for from people who are non-technical to not professional developers to build something. The whole vibe coding craze is kicking off, and I say that with a caveat, make sure you get your smart contracts audited by someone reputable, as you guys will probably back up, and kind of road test your products before you launch them. But just don't sweat. Build a community. Launch a product, launch the design, the aesthetic, start telling your story and just getting out there and just spreading something that you want to build. We're so early that you can kind of just do anything, and even if it fails, you're going to pick up so many skills in the meantime. My whole journey in this ecosystem over the last 4 years, to be now working in the team, I couldn't have imagined that 4 years ago, and of course there's a lot of life experience that comes along with that, but I think a lot of that was due to the help that I received from the team as well. I don't know any other chains who kind of give you that level of support that LUKSO does, and you've got access to such amazing team of minds. Probably for a limited time, so if there's ever a time to get onto it, it's right now. Start build a mini app, push an idea out there and just go for it.
Yeah, awesome. I know we'll get a vibe coding on LUKSO workshop going in the near future, because I'm definitely interested. Fabian, to address the LIX migration question, a lot of folks are asking that's the next when question that we, if you want to.
So now that the bridge is live, I mean, it's really a question of, I mean, the question for us is really comes down to, okay, so if we shut down the bridge, right, at the migration, then, and there's LUKSO on the other side, I mean, they are, number one, they're worthless. Number two, like, people might come back even like 3-5 months later, and then say, oh, but, you know, I have here LUKSO and you need to give me this, blah, 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 even though there's technically no legal claim on that. It just can make headaches. So we want to, like, there's obviously a certain amount of LUKSO we don't know if people even have control over, right? I mean, there can be many wallets lost. And you never know when that point is reached. But if you look at the migration, actually, I haven't looked at it because there was no internet on Burning Man, which is great. And everybody thought I'm dead. No, I was just.
I was going to say, that was my last question. Was everyone was asking, where is Fabian? So here you there. That's answered.
I was at Burning Man having no reception. It's called being offline. So 13.6 million are migrated out of 15.2. That's 1.6 left. So the hope is basically that through now the bridge, and because liquidity is now obviously on Uniswap on LUKS, people have now a strong incentive to migrate. There's obviously the case that many people hold and buy some assets and then forget about having them, and then 2 years later they check back and think, oh my God, I better have this thing here. I mean, at some points we will have to do the cut. We will let this play out for the next few weeks and months and see how this is evolving, and then revisit the decision. Because on the end, I'm happily taking those LUKS, don't worry. But I also don't want to debate with some dude that comes a year later who just found out that he still has some LUKS that he somehow should have migrated 3 years ago. So that's kind of the balance here to be struck.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's see, before we close it down, Lucian, is there any other questions that you wanted to address? I know this may be more of a question for Jonathan, but did you want to answer?
Yeah, I'd say obviously first and foremost, just to repeat, we do gonna continue doing bounties and hackathons and grants, obviously, and there is a balance to be struck between ones that we need for public goods on our network, and then obviously the ones which are more broad hackathons or more generic or not directed grants. This obviously is dependent in part, not fully, on token price. However, we're very confident to strike here the right mix, and I think Jonathan should come up with the plan very soon about the next grant program.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That aside, I think we covered just about anything, or just about everything. There is also, I know we don't have too much info on this yet, but we are collaborating with Human Tech, also known as Holland, on a Edge City residency in Patagonia. That's going to take place November 5 to the 15th. I believe the ERC725 account has tweeted about this. I'll get another more formal announcement up on the LUKSO Twitter as well. But definitely be on the lookout for that. Yeah, there will be an Edge City residency based on, or just like all about identity, and which is very relevant for.
Yeah, exactly. So LUKSO, like Edge City in Patagonia, which is before Dev Connect, Argentina. Yep. We will be there together with Human Tech and participate in actually testing in the real world, tokens and universal profiles in a community that's specifically like talking about this topic, for ages. So
yeah. I'm excited for that one. Well, all right. I think that is just about everything. So one more question. Last final question was, are we creating a LUKSO stablecoin or just using USDT? I believe it was it?
It's USDC. USDT, I want to say something to USDT. I mean, USDT is like this monster bubble that everybody literally expects to blow up since 5 years. I'm not sure we want to bridge over that one. So we go with USDC.
Okay.
You know, it's Coinbase Circle, a little bit closer to regulatory. I mean, on the end, stable coins, you need to understand stable coins, if they're not decentralized, and USDC, USDT, all of them are not. It's just like a banknote, right? The bank can revoke, the bank can freeze. You actually don't own shit. Just to be aware, it's not really decentralized. You know?
Yeah.
So DAI would be more on the decentralized side, and we might actually bridge that as well. Yeah, that's the risk with the whole industry. The new banks.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that covers just about everything. Thank you, Fabian, Lucian, for joining. I know you guys had a hell of a last couple weeks, but we're glad you're back. I know the community is glad you're back. Yeah. The final question was, where are they? And I figured you would answer it yourself. So
yes, we just disappeared into another reality to reappearing and reemerged on the other side.
yeah,
It was a 15-hour. It was a 15-hour in to get into Burning Man and a 5-hour out.
Yeah.
Other people waited 24 hours in line. So it's a thing to get into a desert and out of it again.
Yeah. I saw that too. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're all back safely. And then also Jean, Thomas, thank you for joining and giving some insight on what's coming next on the tech front. That is a lot of really exciting things happening. And also shout out to Jonathan, who's been doing a ton of work on getting LUKSO live on just a bunch of different wallets. So yeah, be on the lookout for more announcements. We're dropping. I mean, I'm not going to say which ones, but expect another big one coming tomorrow and also on Monday. So if you've tuned in long enough, then yeah, there's some more alpha for you. But I'll go ahead and shut it down. And until next time, we'll get another one of these going next month with more exciting updates to share. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for participating, joining, and watching.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, mate.